forward to that. So you gave up on reality and you decided to be the best in Epic 7. If that's the case, I can totally help you. I'm also down with real life too. In this video, I'll be recommending, educating, showing, explaining, describing, and all in all, planting my seeds of knowledge in you. What are the best 3, 4, and 5 stars for beginners? Firstly, understand this. To be the best, you have to spend the most time in the game, specifically for gear farming. For any beginners out there, if you're ever confused about what to do as a newbie, just try and beat Wyvern 13. Once you're able to, try and make an auto team for it. And that's the easiest way I can explain what you have to do as a newer player without having it be too long. As you try to beat Wyvern 13, you realize you have to basically go through Adventure, Labyrinth, Abyss, Raid, and much more to achieve that goal. But for this video, I'm here to tell you which are the characters that will help you out the most to achieve these goals. If you like more guys from me, go ahead and hit the like button. Let's get started. I'll start with the 3 stars that will help you out a bunch as a beginner. First on the list, we have Angelic Montmorency. Now, you might realize you don't have her, but you might have a character named Montmorency. That's her. Yeah, I know. Be careful who you call ugly in high school. In order to turn her from Montmorency to Angelic Montmorency, you're gonna have to do what's called a specialty change, which is available if you click on the hero icon in the lobby. Here you will select Angelic Montmorency specialty change and you will be shown a list of missions. Complete them and you'll turn her into Angelic Montmorency. Quite simple. Remember when I said your job is to beat Wyvern 13? She can be your tank and healer. Her skills include constant healing that almost has no cooldown. And she's also relatively easy to build. All you have to do is to give her the free health set gear that you get from logging in, and you're good. Do note, however, you have to farm a lot of runes and unlock all of her skill tree for her to perform. You can hold any artifacts as long as it helps her out in some way. Here are a list of artifacts that you can put on her if you have them. Apart from Wyvern, she's also a crucial cleanser in Abyss for you to get those sweet rewards. And honestly, she can be used in most other PvE content and perform fine. So beginners, pick yourself Angelic Montmorency and make your life mission to protect her smile. Secondly, Mui. Here is what he does. Skill 1 is a chance to inflict bleed. Skill 2 is a passive, which allows him to counterattack if your whole team's ice element and if the frontmost unit is attacked. While doing that, he also pushes your team ahead. This counterattack also inflicts decreased attack debuff. His S3 has a chance to decrease defense for 2 turns while increasing his own attack. Mui is great for beginners, mainly as a member for their first ever Wyvern 13 auto team. Just know that the more debuff you have, the easier it is to beat Wyvern 13. He's also pretty easy to build and you can slap on a free attack set on him and he'll work out fine. He also needs a 0 mana Goras to skill enhance, which basically means you can spend them on better looking waifus that's 4 or 5 star. And that is why Mui is one of the best 3 stars to have early on. He'd make Wyvern a cakewalk, which is single-handedly the most important thing for newer players. Third on the list, we have Summer Alexa. Summer Alexa is the skimpier specialty change version of Alexa. And honestly, even the less sexy one is a beast in Wyvern. Alexa has poisons, which takes away 5% HP off to the boss every tick. And when the boss have high health, poison does a lot. Summer Alexa does the same, and she basically gets a lot more turn than, you know, the normal Alexa. She can replace Sigrid as your Wyvern DPS, or you can use both together as well. Do know that having both might mean too much DPS, not enough defense break though. Next up, it's the white-haired Kirito, Adventurer Ross, one of the best knights in the game. Of course, you might realize you only have the smiling one, and you have to do Ross's specialty change, just like Montmorency's, and turn him from maidenless to the guy she tells you not to worry about. He is a jack of all trades. He can be great in Adventure, Abyss, Labyrinth, Raids. Not quite so Wyvern, but he's good in Azymatic, which is another less important hunt stage early on. He has a defense buff in S3 with self-heal, a dual attack that can have no cooldown if you soul burn it, and an S1 that dispels a buff from enemies. He's used in a variety of teams as a staple to beat raids, which is a very good source of materials and gears like artifact charms or some red gears, and even a notorious Moonlight bookmarks. If you're interested in PvP as well, he can be your go-to tank. And again, do remember, you gotta fully awaken his skill tree. The next 3-star hero I recommend is Kiris. As a beginner, you might go to Abyss more than you visit your parents. And here I introduce to you the Queen of Abyss, Kiris. Her entire kit allows her to apply constant poison while extending the duration. And quite a few Abyss bosses die very quickly to poison debuff since it takes away a percentage of their health every turn. So if you have a Kiris, you might be able to defeat tough bosses while being undergeared and reap those sweet skystones that you totally don't deserve. So yes, Kiris, try not turn into a fodder. Next up, Commander Larita. You'll realize most of these 3-star are specialty change characters, and yep, this one is no different. She's one of the strongest DPS for PvE content, and you can use her in Adventure and she'll tear through it. She's also quite useful in Abyss as well. Even in endgame, she's crucial to beat Katie's hunt, which only matters in endgame, but hey, investing in her early means you don't have to worry about it for the long game. She's a dark unit as well, which means she is neutral element and can hit anyone if she is a debuff or the enemy doesn't have some sort of evading buff. Basically this guy. Moving on, Falconer Clary. Again, a specialty change version of the normal Clary. Falconer Clary has quite a stacked kit, being able to push herself in terms of combat readiness, healing every turn, dispelling enemies buff, and inflicting the most broken debuff, which is defense break. And yeah, you can imagine using her to dispel and defense break on her S3, which sets things up beautifully for your DPS to go crazy on the boss. She's quite useful in the Venture, Abyss, Labyrinth, Expedition, and Raid, but I would say she's not absolutely needed. Still, a really good 3-star to have though. Next up, we have Terrorguard. I know, he looks immensely interesting, doesn't he? Surprisingly, he's decent in Wyvern and absolutely amazing in some Abyss stages. So you can definitely keep it around, you don't have to invest too much in him. Keep it at 5-star and he'll probably work out. Finally, here's some honorable mentions. Firstly, Unbound Knight Arrowell. Keep an eye out for her because at the time of making this video, she's basically the best knight. The best knight in PvP. A goddamn 3-star. But if you're new, don't worry about her. Worry about Wyvern 13. But hey, if you see her, keep her locked up in your basement, yeah? Secondly, Magic Scholar Taurus. She's a decent healer in any PvE content. However, Angelic Montmorency is pretty much good enough, if not better than her in PvE. In PvP, however, Magic Scholar Taurus is the easiest tank to use against dark heroes, which are all pretty damaging heroes, so you definitely want her to have an easy solution against them. Right, we're done with the 3-star, and that probably won't excite you too much. I know you like to back up my hand, we're the same people. We move on to the middle child vibe 4-star characters, and this will be a long one, so I'll try and keep it short and digestible. First on the list, we have Furious. Furious is a free hero available in Connections. You can access that page through clicking the character sitting on this particular chair or the hero icon. Furious's kit consists of S1 that has chance to inflict burn debuffs, S2 that buffs critical hit chance for 2 turns while giving himself an extra turn, and an S3 that has a 100% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. He is one of the best defense breakers for Wyvern 13 with his low cooldown and ability to buff crit chance. This means with him on the team, you only really need 35% crit chance on ice heroes to crit Wyvern every time. You know, you get 50% from Fierce's buff and 15% crit chance from having elemental advantage. As I said, your main job is to beat Wyvern 13 first, so be sure to grab this fella. His skill enhancements require you to use Malagoros, but you can just do +1 on skill 2 and +4 on skill 3. Once you reach his friendship level 10, you can get skill 3 to +6 without Malagoros. If you don't understand this part, just do whatever you think you need to have the highest win chance against Wyvern. Honestly, it won't kill you as long as you can achieve the objective. He's also very easy to build, so all the more reason to get the guy. Next up, the obvious Free Spirit Tieria. She can carry you through adventure as your main AoE DPS. Can't spell her name without free, as you can get her for free by clicking this icon here and doing these missions. If you're missing a good damage dealer to burst through adventure, she's your girl. She can be used in Labyrinth as well, Abyss, Raids, and all that stuff, but there are better options down the line. And if all the stars align and you somehow got General Purgus, which is a light element character, definitely put some time in him. He will speed up your Wyvern 13 auto run by a lot. He'll essentially be your tank for a pretty fast Wyvern team. You can refer to Wyvern guys on YouTube or maybe mine someday when I do it. So yeah, General Purgus, definitely worth it. Moving on, Clarissa. She's basically a debuffer like Muri, but deals more debuffs and more damage. She's also one of the very few units that can one-shot the mobs in wave 1 to set up for a Wyvern 13 one-shot team in the future. I can't really explain everything in one video, so go search up Clarissa's Wyvern teams for builds or teams. So yeah, if you want her, you can keep her. Next up, Leo. Don't build him, just keep him. You can have him at level 5 and he'll be the best defense breaker for a hunt called Banshee Hunt, the second most important hunt stage after Wyvern. If you're a beginner, do keep him around. And yeah, that's about it for the 4-star, but here are some honorable mentions. Angelica and Karen. Angelica is basically Angelic Montmorency, but you need more resources to build, especially Bolagora. I recommend you to just get Montmorency, but Angelica is basically Montmorency with more immunity buffs but less healing. There really isn't too much of a reason to build Angelica unless you're a Lolicon like me. And Karen is here because she's actually isn't too easy to build and there are units that can fit her spot, namely Muri, Clarissa, Alexa, and Sigrid. So yep, not too much reason to build her unless you're a sucker for cholesterol wrapped in skin like I am. There are so many great 4-stars as well for different purposes, but as a newer player, I'd say you don't have to focus on them too much for now. Do make sure to keep 1 copy at least for each character though. They are probably going to be useful somewhere. It's just the beauty of Epic 7, almost everyone is good at something. And here we go, the most anticipated 5-star characters. Honestly, when I started, I just played with hot waifus, but still, here's a list of 5-star heroes that would be great if I was a beginner as well. Also, disclaimer, I will not be ranking them from best to worst, since they are all just really good. Firstly, we've got Sigrid. You can get her for free in the web event. She's the second, if not the best Wyvern DPS in the game. Your first ever Wyvern team can easily involve a free Sigrid, and your endgame Wyvern one-shot team can still have a Sigrid in there. Her skill is filled with debuffs and giga damage, so yeah, use her with defense break and you'll see Wyvern melt like an ice cream and my sisters die. To summarize, get Sigrid, and do make sure you get the rest of the free 5 stars you get for the same event as well. Apart from Sigrid, you can get a character named Vivian and a character named Serbian. They're both pretty good at some other hunts, so yeah, do make sure to pick them up, especially Vivian. And hey, it's free anyway, so even if I don't tell you to get them, it's free, come on. Next off is Syria. You can actually reroll for it if you want to, but it might take quite a bit of time. She's not great on her own, but if you pair her with Tamarin, you get the absolute best PvE duo of all time. Isiria's job is to reset the cooldown of Tamarin while providing defense break after dispelling buffs. Speaking of this, we can move on to the list with me recommending to you Tamarin. Her skill 3 has really long cooldown, but once she uses it once, she can reuse it very quickly. Once she does S3, she almost instantly full heals her team, buffs attack, and immensely pushes them forward. The cycle starts with Hysteria resetting the cooldown on Tamarin's S3, and Tamarin would do S3 and then rampage with your DPS with attack buff. Having them both together as a beginner is honestly playing the game on easy mode, so look out for these two characters if you got them. Next up, Arbiter Vildred. You can get him for free from the Moonlight Blessing. Arbiter Vildred is by far the best farmer in the game, like a stronger version of Free Spirit Tieria. His entire shtick is to die and come back and to instantly take the turn and nuke with S3. It sounds fun and it is, but unfortunately he's no longer absolutely dominant in endgame PvP though. And of course, he can still be used in endgame PvP, and yeah, he's definitely useful in PvE though. You can just constantly nuke with him and tear through stages. But do know that you might want to pick someone else from Moonlight Blessing, especially this next hero, Spectre Tenebria. For newer players, especially those who would love to try out PvP, Spectre Tenebria is undoubtedly the best option for you to choose from the Moonlight Blessing. She's very strong in Abyss, and you can expect her to work alongside Kiris with the poison debuff on S1 to murder any bosses in minutes. She can be used in Adventure, but you would rather just clear the mobs out with someone like Vildred to be quick, you know what I mean? However, she is actually best in PvP. She's relevant in any stage of PvP and can be a pain in the butt to deal with. A very easy pairing you can try out is Adventure Ross, which is free, with Spectre Tenebria, which could be free if you pick her from Moonlight Blessing. And yeah, they synergize very well together, specifically dual attack on Adventure Ross with Stede. This does a lot of damage, and yeah, it's pretty hard to deal with. So if you're interested in PvP, do consider Spectre Tenebria. And if you don't know if you should get Arbiter Vildred or Spectre Tenebria, here's a hack. Choose Arbiter Vildred or Spectre Tenebria for your Moonlight Blessing first. Once you play with them for a bit, you can choose to change your Moonlight Blessing option if you so want to. The best way to optimize progress is to pick Arbiter Vildred first, and once you don't need him anymore, get yourself a feet fetish queen. But if you like him and want to stick with him, go for it as well. There's totally no problems with it. And that's about it for the list, but here's some honorable mentions. Seaside Bellona and Vildred. Seaside Bellona would be on the list, but unfortunately she's a limited banner character, meaning you only get her from her own banner and nowhere else. Her banner will only rerun during the summer event, or you can choose her during the custom raid up banner. She's the best Wyvern 13 one-shot team AoE damage dealer, and is also pretty decent in PvP in some situations. If you're a beginner, you definitely want to try and get her. She makes things so much easier for Wyvern with the amount of defense break that she brings, and you know, just damage, debuffs, everything. She does everything in Wyvern. I don't rank her up in the list because it's only a limited banner character, so you don't really want to chase for her. It's pretty hard to chase for her. I mean, you can't really. So yeah, when she comes along, do try and get her though. Next up, Vildred is also a pretty good farmer and is staple for basic Azimana hunting. He's also a very good speed imprint for PvP players, which if you're a beginner, just know that it costs like 5 extra Vildreds for that to happen. You can choose to reroll for him, but I'd say Free Spirit Tieria or Arbiter Vildred can just fill his shoes PvE-wise in early game. And that is all. My script is like 3,000 words, so yeah, this must be how MatPat feels. I hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you'd like more of these from me. Good luck with Epic 7. Take care.